Hi friends, I am popping here before this episode to give you a huge trigger warning. This is a very heavy episode. We're going to be talking about murder, suicide, death and dismemberment, including war PTSD, childhood abuse, alcohol and drug abuse. We are also talking about Hurricane Katrina, which can be triggering for people as well. Mental health talk throughout this episode. Kitti is a very good person to be talking about this because she has experienced some stuff. I think we come through with respect for all parties involved, and we have a lot of empathy for everyone. I hope you come into this with empathy for everyone, including the person who did commit the crime, because he also went through a lot of stuff. Well, thank you for listening to this episode. We really appreciate you getting through this with us. I can totally understand why my mom did not want to be a part of this one. She sat down and listened to some stuff about it, and she got the icks. So she didn't want to be involved in this one, which I totally understand. Welcome to Only Ghosts in the Building. This is your host, Emily Claire, and I'm here with...
Hi everyone, I'm Kitti Sage.
I learned that lesson our first night in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I wanted to stay, I didn't want to do a chain hotel, so I found the Lamont House on Esplanade Avenue. It's an old Victorian mansion. Thought that's where we were going to be. No, our room was in behind, which was like a smaller shotgun house. I don't know the history behind it, but... our first night there at 3 a.m. on the dot.
Yeah.
The fire alarm went off. And it wasn't anything. It was very slow but loud. Not normal.
Yeah.
But it did not happen again. So it wasn't a wiring issue.
Yeah.
And me and my husband both jolted up in the middle of the night. And it stopped the minute we were awake.
Mm-hmm.
And...
So it was just basically trying to wake you up.
Yeah.
In the witching hour.
Yeah. So the very next morning, I went straight to a mineral shop, and I got crystals, and I got offerings, and I got a cigarette, and I got a $1 bill rolled up and change, and I went right back to that room and
left an offering.
I did, and I said, I'm sorry to invade your space.
Yeah.
And, I'm here, and had that respectful communication, and I saw the lurking.
Yeah.
It made me uneasy because I can see you, but you could feel I'm here, but I'm staying there.
Yeah.
I won't be up in I will give you your privacy, but, think about it from their perspective, right? Yeah. You just have some random white folks that showed up in your space.
Yeah.
And you're
what are you doing,
right?
Yeah.
You don't know the previous suffering that has imprinted itself in there. I don't, like I said, I don't know the history, and I'm not going to pretend that I do, but I know what I felt. And I know that, once I said what I had to say and set those boundaries and said that I see you and I know that you're here.
Yeah.
Can we, do this? And it was all good from there.
Yeah.
Energies are different. That not everything that is paranormal is coming from the same source.
Right.
Which was, going to the Rampart Street house, and when you get there, you see this building, and you walk through, and there's all these relics, but there's also things that you can buy. But then there's an entire room that has oddities, and they are pieces from Charity Hospital, which whole other podcast.
Yeah.
And orphanages, and just all these pieces of kind of this darker history of New Orleans. And but that building was different things for many years before Zack and Addie even inhabited it. And there's tragedy there, and
the land for sure. Yeah.
There are slave quarters behind it.
Right.
Pain happened there.
Absolutely.
Suffering happened there.
Yeah.
But rituals have been happening on this property for a very long time as well, because that first floor has been a voodoo shop for a very, very long time with different owners and such.
You know, the big part of that is talking to spirit and doing ritual to get spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So having that kind of portal or gateway there, probably, I mean, you feel it. So you went and you got hooked up with Bloody Mary, and there was Nick Groff was there, and so he had done the paranormal lockdown with Katrina Weidman there, and she said that was the most messed up place, and she doesn't really want to go back.
It definitely is that feeling.
Yeah.
Yes, it absolutely is. It's very, very, like I said, the minute you walk up the steps, you get that tingling feeling. And, you know, the lights were on, and Bloody Mary led us up there, kind of showed us where everything was, and which is good, so you get a bearing on where you're going to be. It would be silly to just walk up there in pure darkness in a place you've never seen before.
Right.
So we all kind of then separated. So there is a front room, and it's full of her dolls, and there is a piece of equipment in there that is a teddy bear that allows the spirit to communicate.
A boo buddy.
Yes.
I love a boo buddy.
So, like, that was nuts. I'll tell you about that in a sec.
Yeah.
So, my husband actually went in. It was a mom and daughter, and they were in that front room, and they shut the door. So it was me, a gentleman named Muddy Waters, another woman, and then Nick went in the kitchen and bathroom area, kind of like one, but it's the original oven, it's the original stove, and I'm pretty sure the original tub.
Yeah.
So we all shut the door, and then Bloody Mary was like, I'm turning the light off and shutting the door. She turned the hall light so it's pitch black. We're walking around and finally get seated, and you hear that darn boo buddy in that front room just going off left and right, and you're like, wow. There's a lot of communication, and it didn't happen between me and whatever entity was there, but there was a younger girl that really was just, and they ended up in there like in tears.
Yeah.
My husband ended up walking out. He was like, I felt like I needed to like give them a minute because like they got really emotional, and it said that it's a child. Mm-hmm. It plays with the dolls. It stays in the closet. I know that when they investigated up there, I mean, Bloody Mary tells the story. She's very fond of this child's spirit and is very protective of it. But I don't really, that wasn't where my focus was. I was very focused on the energy that, like, and later find out that it was Zack. Mm-hmm. Bloody Mary didn't tell any of us who were there visiting for the first time really anything about the case. Right. And I came in with previous knowledge. Mm-hmm. But,
as most spooky girls do.
Yes. But not really, I didn't know about his military experience, or I had just really known about the crime that happened.
Yeah.
And so while up there, I first felt I had crossbody purse, and at first I was sitting there on a little wooden bench, and I felt like the like resistance, and at first I was like, something is just caught on it, so like not completely dismissive of it, and then I stand up, and it gets yanked, like, oh. I said it out loud, just saying, I'm like, guys, I think I just got pulled.
Yeah.
And we did an EVP session right then and there, and there was some stuff, but nothing really audible later in review. The really interesting, yeah, just like you don't really know. But there's a spirit box session that we did after the investigation, which I feel like that was a little bit more insightful and profound. Mm-hmm. Than walking around up there. I mean, it's just an eerie feeling. It's all static, and it's very, very active. But the really interesting thing that I witnessed happen was the other investigator, Muddy Waters, sitting there, and he said, guys, I just have this, like, I gotta sing. He's like, I don't even know. It's just, there's this song in my head, and, like, be kind, I'm gonna sing it, but I just feel like I have to get it out. and, you know, you walk through briefly, you don't really see and register everything that's like in the space. Or if you do, you don't know the story behind it.
Right.
Right? So that happens, which was strange enough. So then we go into review, and you see my purse get grabbed. You see it. You see me move. You see a tug.
Wow.
There are orbs everywhere.
Yeah.
It is crazy. You hear this mumbling. Everything is kind of coinciding. There was a lot of activity, like I said, happening in that front room. And just hearing the Boo Bear go off, like, left and right.
Yeah.
It's, like, wild in and of itself. But then we go.
Well, that's a Boo Bear. A Boo Bear is like, it's like a little teddy bear with like kind of like a REM pod in it. So it's got certain ones. I don't know which one they had.
Yeah, this one does like yes, no, things like that.
Does it talk about like that tickles?
Yes.
Okay, so it's got like if they get a feeling, like if something touches it, sometimes they have temperature sensors in there.
Yes.
So it like if something messes with it, it's going to tell you. Like a REM pod would do the same, only with beeps. This is meant to talk to you as
right.
as a little teddy bear. So having that go off is like having a REM pod go off all the time.
Exactly.
Now with your, I know so much. I'm such a nerd. With your spirit box session, was that one of the ones that have the static, or is it the ones that have that static filtered out and it just says words?
It's
echoey?
more like the static's filtered out. It's closer to the one that like Nick and Katrina would use,
yes.
where it looks like a very old radio.
Yeah.
And that is what was used literally right in the middle of a seance table.
Yeah.
And one of the individuals with us that night was, I believe she was an Air Force veteran.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we never said anything to anybody about my husband being a veteran.
Right.
And so we start talking, and Bloody Mary explained, you know, a lot of times this is kind of when she validates experiences. So she said, Zack likes, he recognizes people who have also served. Yeah. And so that's when the lady from the Navy spoke up, and she was having a lot of activity. So I finally I said, you know, my husband here also was in, yeah. So she asked my husband, she said, why don't you tell him your battalion number, where it's like a series of numbers and letters, you know, and I don't even know what to properly call that. But so my husband said his, and it was nuts. The immediate response was Army, and he was.
Yeah.
Only somebody else that was in the military would have known
that.
what those numbers meant.
Yeah.
And it was accurate. It was right on the money.
Right.
And then we had, she goes on to say,
well, he was Army too, and he ended up becoming a sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I wanted to throw that.
No.
Zack
it was nuts, and I
Yeah.
think that was one of the things that had occurred that had my husband going, oh my gosh, you know, like maybe this stuff is real. Bloody Mary's trying to basically tell us what it's like to live with them in spirit form, and all of the things that she now knows about them from communicating with them. But so, you know, she said, you were out there singing, right? Because we're watching playback in real time, and she's like, do you see that guitar you're sitting next to? You know that was Zack's. It was left in the apartment, and you were sitting next to that, and he was like, oh.
Yeah.
Even as a seasoned investigator, he was like, yeah, that was profound. Like I needed to get that out. Something other than me was putting this melody in my head, and I needed to get it out. And it was almost like he's sitting next to this creative tool of Zack's, right? This thing that he poured like his passion into, his feelings, and like it was so profound that he felt, even though this is completely unfamiliar and I might sound crazy, I need to get it out. It was almost like he was being
channeling.
Yes,
he was channeling him through.
For sure.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And then she said, I heard one of you was touched.
Mm-hmm.
She pointed it to me and said, was it you? And I was like, yeah, why? She goes, because you're shorter. You're a smaller woman, and he tends to have a thing for smaller women. So I'm not surprised that it was you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which was nuts.
Yeah, and I felt like, so being somewhat of a hippie myself, I have a crossbody. I love a crossbody bag. I love a crossbody bag. And I felt like her style and that, like, we were all, I'm the same age as them. I think pretty much all the same age. So we used to wear crossbodies.
Right.
Like, the hippie style was that. So I would not be surprised if that was him, like, being like, are you her? No. Okay.
Yeah. Right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
I did make sure that I left offering.
Good.
On
Good.
the, the stove top. And I made sure I said what I had to say because
people leave offerings there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I saw a
because,
picture
like,
about that.
I know what you went through, and, like, I have been in abusive relationships as well, and so it's almost like, yeah, I was there and doing this investigation, but I also was feeling the human side of that and recognizing that she was also a victim.
Yeah.
And just...
They were both victims.
They truly were. That
Truly
was what
were.
I was... he was, not supported properly as a vet coming back. He also was a victim, and so was she.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the main story for me to this, is that, again, you have respect. Yes, he snapped.
Yeah.
He murdered her. And he dismembered her and did very horrible things to her. But there was some very horrible things done to him to make that pop in his mind. And we weren't there in that situation. And she said and did some very, very, very terrible things.
Yeah.
So it was no good any which way you choose it.
Yeah.
It was all bad. And I think that's why my mom was like, nope, not touching this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are many layers. It's a very complex case. And, they both seem very willing to speak to anybody in their spirit form. It seems that they have some resolution in the afterlife, and they are still coexisting in that damn apartment on Rampart Street.
Yeah.
But
I hope they made it back for true love and not toxic.
I hope they're, not stuck in that toxic.
Yeah.
I'm sure they also feel a little bit famous in the afterlife. People are paying money to come talk to you.
Sure. Yeah.
And just as they kind of were like little local celebrities while they were alive.
They were both very, very charming, attractive people. People loved them.
Yes.
So I think, I like that. That's a good way to end that story.
For sure.
Yeah. That was a good story.
Yeah.
A bad story, bad story. But I like that the connection that you felt.
Yeah.
And that's what we do this for sure.
Yeah, it was also nice that the, reason I went out there was to have my own spiritual connection to my ancestors, and then I got this opportunity that felt like I had no idea what was happening. It, like, the universe put it there, and then we went and we did that. But I had the authentic spiritual paranormal experience.
Yeah.
And I had it from the minute that, we kind of stepped off that plane.
Yeah.
It was even odd for me walking off the plane because the new airport is where the old damn airport is, and I know because I'm old that's where they stored the bodies for Katrina.
Oh.
And it's no longer in use, so it's just this weird, creepy, abandoned airport with the new airport, and there's planes over there that haven't been used. It's very odd.
Yeah.
You really see the economic devastation of Katrina still to this day.
Yeah.
And that is sad.
That was a in our lifetime apocalypse, for sure.
Yes.
Now, it was an apocalypse, very small apocalypse in one little part. But
I mean, that's the economic devastation is still felt to this day. So
yeah.
it is quite certain that the mental aspect, the mental health, the energy vibration, but all of that is kind of been balled up, and it's still felt to this day.
Yeah, it kind of seems to me like a boiling cauldron.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap up the podcast here, but I definitely know that she will be coming back because we have some plans.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
There's so much fun stuff.
Oh my gosh. This was Emily Claire and Kitti Sage, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Only Ghosts in the Building. If you have any write-in stories that you would like us to read on air, please write us an email at onlyghostsinthebuilding@gmail.com, or you can send us a DM on our Instagram page at Only Ghosts in the Building, or on Facebook at Only Ghosts in the Building. We also have started our Patreon page, so go to patreon.com/onlyghostsinthebuilding, no spaces between, or you can search Only Ghosts in the Building, no spaces between, and come join. It's free, or there are going to be a couple of pay monthly options, but you will get all your episodes ad-free there. And I will be posting a little bit more behind the scenes, or all the evidence that we collect will be posted there as well. So please come and join the fun. We will see you soon.
Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.